Hey friend, can we just take a moment to celebrate what happens when we say yes to God's timing? You may have noticed that I've been a little bit quiet here on the podcast, and today I'm pulling back the curtains on exactly why that pause was so purposeful. From some unexpected adventures in New York City with the incredible Goldman Sachs to launching Brand Legacy Blueprint and the incredible Eden and Empire, these past few months have felt like nothing short of a masterclass in what happens when you trust in God's redirection in everything. And let me tell you, coming back to this mic feels like coming home, but with so much more wisdom. So today I'm sharing not just where I've been, but how this season of growth has really been a transformation in the way that I see and how I approach business altogether. Because I feel like sometimes what feels like a pause is actually God's preparation for something bigger. And today I really want to talk about all that's been going on. So first, you might have noticed that things are a little bit different here. And that could be because you are either listening to the podcast on the audio version or now you are watching me on the video option. And I did that because I know there are multiple different ways that we like to consume content, and I wanted to be able to offer an opportunity for us to have kind of like a little friendly conversation, like friends sitting down, chatting. I love watching podcasts when there's a video incorporated, so I wanted to be able to offer that as an option too. But also, I know that sometimes I like listening to podcasts just on the go and not seeing any video options, so I wanted to keep both of those. In addition to that, we have changed how often the podcasts are coming to you, so the frequency of everything. I used to do a podcast once a week, and now I'm doing it 3 times a week, but in a shorter format, in a way that's really driven towards not only our connection and us growing with our businesses and the Lord and me sharing my experiences, but also I wanted to be able to offer the opportunity to provide some insights in how to strategically elevate and grow your business from a branding and marketing perspective. So I will be coming to you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday in a way that allows me to give you Mondays, which are all about our mindset and how to grow and motivate you in that sense and how we can align our businesses to what God has called us to do. And then we have Wednesdays and Fridays where it is all about me giving you tips. And they are really what I hope to be a high value option for you to kind of grow in that and step into this area where you're really building a legacy with your business and doing that through amazing branding and marketing tips. But I also wanted to keep the format of bringing in others to share their wisdom, whether that's their experience, their tips, in this specific industry that they're an expert in, but really how they've been able to turn their business into something that's thriving and honoring God while sharing their journey. So that's what things look like now. The biggest part of all of this is in getting feedback from you. I might be doing this long term, or we might find that this makes no sense and I'll just stick to the audio version of it. Either way, we're going to have seasons, and what that looks like is 3 days a week I'll be coming to you, and then for 4 weeks, for a month, and then I'll pause for 2 weeks, do some reflection, get some feedback, reevaluate strategy and whatnot, and then come back to you with the next season. So your feedback is going to be super important in all of this, so I really, really, really appreciate it. But now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, I really wanted to kind of talk to you about where I've been these past few months, what's been going on behind the scenes, and what I'm so excited to give you over the next few weeks within this podcast. So I kind of talked a little bit about my adventures that were kind of unexpected in New York. So last year I had applied to Goldman Sachs 1 million Black women in business. And what that looks like is Goldman Sachs has a 3-month-long program available to women of color. And what they do within that program is they have a very detailed business program from NYU Stern that they go through, and they offer you the opportunity to grow your business during this program. And it was incredible. They pay for everything, so the program is free. They pay for you to go to New York for orientation for 3 days. And then you'll come back, you'll do the program, you have a business advisor, you have what's called the growth group. So it is a community of other women that are in the program, of course, that you just kind of get to grow with over the 12 weeks. And then after everything is all said and done, if you graduate, you get to go back to New York for 2 days for graduation and just to reconnect. And then you're part of the alumni program. So I'm looking forward to that part of it. But I just got back a couple weeks ago. So it has been a lot of moving parts over the past few weeks. I launched my first course, which is called the Brand Legacy Blueprint, which is my signature course. I'm so excited about it because not only is it my baby, but it really showcases how you can build a brand that leaves a legacy. And I think oftentimes in business, we forget that what we're doing has real impact. And so this course to me is that stepping stone, and how do we take everything that you have built and build that into a cohesive brand that really allows you to, create something that is timeless, something that you're not going to be going in and rebranding every time a new trend comes out, something that is rooted in the knowledge of who you are, who God has designed you to be. And from all of that, what was so unexpected is when I built the curriculum for Brand Legacy Blueprint, it was with the intention of keeping business and faith. I wouldn't say they were separate because my faith always guides what I do, but they weren't interconnected. It was very, I almost want to say secular in a sense. It was very business. And as I was writing the curriculum and I recorded and did all of the things for the course, it was up, and it wasn't up, but it was ready to go, right? I was ready to start the beta testing of all of it. And I realized that something felt so off and I couldn't put a finger on it. And I had spoken with my friend Megan, and I'll have to upload that podcast episode. It'll just be the audio version of it. But in our conversation, this was the last podcast episode I did before I went on the break that I didn't get an opportunity to upload because so many other things happened throughout then that I wanted to make sure that this was it. But in this podcast episode that I had with her, so much clarity came through. And a couple of days later, it just hit me. I did not want to continue to be lukewarm with my faith in my business and just in my faith in general. And I really felt that God did not call business and faith to be separate, especially right now in a world that is so crazy and there's just so many different things that distract us from what God has called us to do and to be of the world. I felt like, you know what? Whatever this means, let's go all in. And so I had my course all written. I was ready to go through testing, and I said, I have to rewrite it. I have to rewrite every part of it. And that day that I made that decision, God had sent me so many different signs that indicated that that was it. And it just poured out like it was meant to be, and integrating Him into my business was just it felt so aligned and so right. Like I could cry thinking about it. So I redid it, went through testing, and, I had so many women that immediately they were like, oh my gosh, this spoke to me, or I'm crying, this feels so right. Like this is just so many things that affirmed that this was exactly what it needed to be. And that was the piece that I was missing. But I felt like even with this podcast, I knew that God had called me to a place that business and faith were not intended to be separate, but as one. But I could not see at the time. I just thought that He wanted me to start a podcast. And, sometimes as you're building and growing certain things, what ends up happening is you just have to put something down. You cannot juggle all of the things at once. And sometimes your mental health and your abilities and everything need to take they need to always be a priority. And so I had to take a step away from the podcast in this capacity. Also, I wanted to make sure what I was providing to you was of value and in alignment. And it had to kind of come out of a place that wasn't the perfectionist over progress mindset, but over this has to make sense if I'm going to be providing content, because I want to make sure that I'm actually giving value and not coming from a place of being unsure. And I think I did speak about this in the last podcast season. When I went through my fast, so much clarity had come through in what God was calling me to do. But even then, I still wasn't 100% sure. And so as I was doing this podcast, or my Brand Legacy Blueprint course, it kind of called me to a place where I was like, you know what? This can't just be it though. I can't just have 3 courses and talk about it on social media. We need more. We need a space that women can come together in community and to learn about who God has called us to be, and to do it in a way that we're doing it together. We're not doing it on our own, because entrepreneurship can be so lonely, and it can be a million different things. You don't know. There's no roadmap to running a business. And so having other women who not only have your back, but share the same values and purposes to go into your business, whether your business has faith as front and center or it is a subtle guide, regardless of what that looks like, to have a community of women who understand the unique challenges that you're going through, to provide the insights. And then just this community that is filling you up with business tips and insights in relation to the branding and marketing that really help guide you through. And having experts that come in on a monthly basis to share the things that I'm not an expert in, to give you a well-rounded business, was like, that's what I know that I would love. I can't imagine that other women wouldn't love that as well. And that's where Eden and Empire was born, is that we need a community that is affordable, but that allows us the opportunity to push. Like, it has to be affordable, but of enough value that you stay committed and disciplined to it. And so I was like, let's do this. Let's create the community. And being in the Goldman Sachs program and having my business advisor was invaluable. To have the feedback, the insight, to know that what I was doing had real impact. That will probably be the thing that I take away most from the program, is that when you're in this incredible program, it was 300 of us that were selected out of thousands of applicants for this cohort, that are amazing, incredible, successful women, like incredible. And I remember after I had after I got selected and we had our first meeting, I was like, where do I compare? There's no comparison to these women, of course, but I felt like, was I supposed to be here? Like, this didn't feel like, I felt very out of place in all of it, because I felt like my success didn't measure up. But being able to go back and look at it now, God was preparing me in ways that I didn't even know. And there was a point in time where I had heard, as I was developing Brand Legacy Blueprint, and I had the idea phase of Eden and Empire. Of course, I didn't know what it was at the time. I didn't know it was Eden and Empire. I just knew I wanted a membership as an option for women. One thing that came very clear to me in the middle of the night, I had been like awoken, and it said, and I want to cry, but it's like, what grounds me in times that I feel like the timing isn't right, or I am not doing things correctly, or when I'm doubting, essentially, just when I'm sitting in doubt. The one thing that really grounds me, or what I heard, is build it strong and they will come. And I was like, what does that, like, I get what that means, but what does that mean for me to do? Like, I'm a very detailed, you need to do this, 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 and this. And so, of course, the God that we know, he's not going to 100% always give you the directions in a step-by-step format. And so there's been a lot of really leaning in and trying to listen to the direction that he's pushing me towards and pulling me away from. And I have to share this in a later podcast, but it was like a life-defining moment and really gave me clarity on so many things that I didn't even know I was struggling with, that God is calling me through. And I can't wait to share that with you, because I feel like it will really, 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 really speak to so many of you. Because while it's unique to me, it's probably not a unique, it's not a unique feeling. So, going through feeling this spirit of rejection, is what I'll end up talking to you about. But God has been preparing me along the way. And there are so many times where I, of course, don't understand what he's trying to do, but I know that no matter what, even if things aren't on my own time, he's going to prepare me in the way that I need to be prepared. And so he's encouraging me, don't focus on the numbers, don't focus on the dollar amounts, step away from that, build it strong in the best way that you know how. Lean in, focus on me, focus on the word, and it will come. And that's exactly how I feel, and that's what he's shown me. And so these past few months have been a lot of that, a lot of discerning what God is placing on my heart, making sure that it is of value to you, and pivoting when need be. So that is what has been on my heart lately, going through that program, going through New York, meeting some incredible women was a top 10 experience for me. God took me as somebody who had a lot of shame and guilt surrounding the fact that I never finished out my degree in the medical field, or just getting my degree in general. Even though I've had success with the business, there is a lot of, I didn't finish that, and that was a big deal to me. To take me, who does not have a business degree, and place me in an area where I'm being taught by some of the best, like it's NYU Stern, like professors from there, teaching me how to run a successful business, building a strong foundation, is just something that I can't even. We got to speak to the top leaders in Goldman Sachs, pick their brains about their success, how they got there, things that they did. And then just having that cohort, that sisterhood of women who are successful, but were able to kind of navigate those challenges together, was incredible. So that's all to say that I will be sharing hopefully some of the wisdom that has come up along the way, and I hope that it is helpful to you. And before we wrap up, I really want to say something that really hit home in my time in New York with Goldman Sachs is, in those moments that you have when God is trying to make everything crystal clear for you. When I was standing in the middle of Manhattan, and I was surrounded by, you're in New York, right? It's amazing. You're in the financial district, which is the best part of it. You're surrounded in Goldman Sachs, like in the Goldman Sachs headquarters, but you're surrounded by ambitious, incredible entrepreneurs. It hit me, and it was something that was so powerful to me, is that you don't have to choose between building something extraordinary and staying true to your faith. In fact, that is really what this next season of Hustle and Heart is really Hustle with Heart. I always say my name wrong. That's what this next season of Hustle with Heart with me is about, is figuring out how we're going to navigate that and place what God has really called us to do to create an impact, and doing it in a way that really aligns and stays true to our faith. But you don't have to sacrifice it. You don't have to sacrifice your faith. You don't have to sacrifice your family. And those times when you felt pulled to create something meaningful, but you've been waiting for that right time or the right guidance, I hope that this podcast is that for you, this new elevated version of it. And the things that I'm sharing, like the strategies and the wisdom and the community that I hope that we're building. And I've heard from so many of you, the community that you've been praying for. what I'm doing hopefully is coming all within all of that. And I want you to be right here in it with me. So please share your wins, share your feedback, share whatever. I want you to also make sure that as we're doing this 3 times a week, you're subscribing to this podcast so that you don't miss anything, because it's every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and just giving you the opportunity. Sometimes we have to be nudged in a certain direction or hear something from someone that really resonates with what we've been struggling with for it to finally click and take action. So I hope that this podcast in this new format is that for you. But until then, I will see you on Wednesday.